It's also been a while since he put out a new leaf, so I think it's desperate for a repot. Hello my fellows, welcome. If you're new here, my name is Grace and I love plants. If you're interested in learning about new varieties or care tips, then definitely hit subscribe. I post videos every week. So for today's video, I thought I'd do a repot with me because this Monstera Thai Constellation of mine hasn't been putting out a new leaf for a while now. And also there is a root just coming out of there. And if I look into the hole, I can sort of see that some of the roots have been growing round and round in the pot. And there is also like a root poking out of the soil right here. So I think it's high time I repotted this guy and give it a little bit more room to grow. And while I'm repotting, I thought I'd try something a little bit different on my channel because I need to rant about something and I just need to get this off my chest. But also, I'm really curious to get your guys' view if you know what I'm talking about. So, a little bit of story time. Last weekend, I watched Cheese in the Trap, which is a Korean drama if you don't know. Now, I'm not like a huge fan of Korean dramas, but I do watch some of them from time to time. This is one that I discovered because I started watching Startup, another Korean drama that's really popular on Netflix right now. The leading male in Startup is Nam Joo-hyuk. There is a feature on Netflix, if you don't already know, whereby if you click on the actor's name, it'll pull up all the other TV shows or movies that actor has appeared in. I saw one of these recommendations come up and it's called Cheese in the Trap, and it also features another one of my absolute favorite Korean actors, and his name is Park Hae-Jin. And so I thought it would be a really good one for me to start watching. Now, I'm not going to share with you a spoiler, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about the plot line and how I feel about this Korean drama and do like a little bit of a review because I am just like a ball of emotions after watching this drama, and I just need to like share it with you guys basically. So let me do a repot with me / storytime / K-drama review with you guys, which is very different to all the videos that I've ever put out, but I thought I'd try something different and you know, what's a little bit of experimenting on YouTube anyway. So let's begin. So if you don't already know, this drama aired in 2016, about 4 years ago now, and it was super popular when it aired. It has a stellar cast. This show starred a male lead, Park Hae-Jin, and a female lead, Go-Eun, Seo Kang-Joon as the second male lead, and then Sung-Kyung as the second female lead. I got to stand up to do this. Okay, this is really difficult to do when you're talking and repotting at the same time. Oh my god, it must be really stuck in there. As you can see, this is pretty root bound. I find that it helps to repot when the soil is dry because it kind of just falls off the roots. I've been told otherwise in the past where they say to wet the soil a little bit because then it's easier to remove, but I have tried it both ways and I much prefer to let the soil dry out before repotting. Try and loosen some of this roots that have just really balled up around the pot. We have to be really gentle while teasing the soil out of the roots because you don't want to break or damage any of these root system. So far so good, but this is going to take a while. So the story follows a uni student who is very conscientious, comes from like a very humble family, and she works really hard, tries to get her stuff done and go to a part-time job without causing too much trouble. But somehow she gets on the bad side of a senior who is very influential, very well liked, but also is kind of a little two-faced, and she can see through that. So she's always been really careful and like tries to avoid him and things, but he tries to make her life pretty miserable, and so she decides to take a year off uni. And when she comes back the following year, he starts to treat her differently, starts to look out for her and try and court her basically. He wants to, take her out to lunch or like dinner and things like that. But each time she's like, no, there's something more malicious going on. He's got bad intentions. He must be out to get me somehow, because he put me through hell last year. So I just need to be really careful. But this time it's different, and he really is truly looking out for her and does a lot of nice things for her behind the scenes without taking credit or without any recognition or anything like that. He just wants her to stick around. And so things happen, the plot thickens and things progress, and they finally somehow started dating. But it's not as easy as that, because she sees that he's got a different side to him, and there is something a little bit scary about him. And then they introduce the two second leads, the male and female. They somehow have it's not a love triangle, it's more like a love square, as a friend told me. And we start to see, we learn a little bit more about the characters, and they go through trials and tribulations, and they develop an understanding of each other. Things happen and we get to the end, and it's a really unsatisfying ending for those of you who haven't already watched it. But for those of you who've watched it, you know what I'm talking about. I was so mad. I was so mad after I finished it, and I was just I got so invested in their story, and the outcome was so unsatisfying and it was so frustrating. I mean, it's going to be a good ending. They just didn't put in the effort to show us, and they just left it up to our imagination, which I kind of don't mind that sort of ending. I mean, if you think about Inception and things like that, open endings aren't too bad because they start a debate and people talk about it, and it's really interesting to hear about the different interpretations. But this one is it's just so unsatisfying. They get us so invested in the relationship, making it seem like the second lead would have a shot, or the second lead is more deserving of the love interest, I guess. And then nothing eventuates out of that. There was a build, but there was no peak to the storyline, and it kind of just went. And that was just really what was all of that for then? You know what I mean? I get that the ending is also a little bit challenging to do, because this drama is based on a very popular webtoon, a web comic. And at the point in time of filming, the webtoon was still ongoing, so there wasn't really an ending. And it's difficult for TV shows or movies or whatever to create an ending for the storyline, and it's always going to be a disappointment. I mean, if you think about it, take Game of Thrones for example, whatever the ending they come up with, it's generally going to be quite disappointing, and it's difficult because it's easier to follow a story that's already written by someone else rather than think up a creative ending based on a story that somebody else has wrote. So it's kind of doomed to begin with. But anyway, another reason why it's disappointing as well is that they really rushed through the ending and didn't really give any of the characters real justice and closure. So there are 16 episodes all up, and each episode's about an hour or so. An hour and a half, around there. The last episode was a really rushed job. They flash forward to 3 years. In the last 10 minutes of the episode, they flash forward. How is that enough time? I don't know. They could have elaborated on it a little bit more and gave us a little bit more of a closure, I guess. Anyway, in 2018, they made a movie out of it. they replaced the female lead, which was kind of a shame because I do feel like Kim Go-Eun did a really good job portraying that character. I also heard that it was her first debut in a television series, and she did a really good job. It really showcased her versatility as an actress, I find. So after the series ended, or like after I watched the final episode, I had to see if there was any other like similar reactions or reviews on the internet, because I just felt so jibbed. I felt so jibbed. Like, I don't know if this is genius or what. And like, okay, if you think about it, it's called Cheese in the Trap, and basically the whole premise of this show is like how you get drawn in, you get sucked in, and then you buy in, and then you kind of just get left like hanging dry. And I guess that's what they did to the viewers. And if you think about it from a Nolan-esque perspective, well, maybe that is genius, and perhaps it was intentional, and maybe that was why they wanted us to feel this way, because that's kind of how Kim Go-eun, or Hong Sol, the main character, the female, that's how she feels, and they want us to feel the same way. So in that sense, well done, you guys. You made us all feel rubbish. But I think overall, the review, I would say it's actually really well done. First of all, casting, great. Good selection of actors. Storyline unfolded pretty well, except for the last parts, or like I would say the last quarter of the show. I find that things slowed down a little bit when they could have used that time to build up the ending. I think the OST, the soundtrack, is pretty good as well. And I think they did a really good job of capturing your attention and interest in the very beginning. So that is the root system from my Thai constellation. I don't know if you can see, but I did break quite a number of roots doing this repot, but that's to be expected, I think. I'm going to be potting it directly into here, getting rid of this pot. Got my soil mix. Let's get this repotted. So it was slanting like this before, reaching towards the sun, and I kind of want to like plant it up like this, so it's going upwards a little bit more. So I'm going to do that. And before we go, I'm just going to trim off this brown edge. So that's the finished product. What do you guys think? I really like that it's growing up right now as opposed to what it was doing before, leaning towards the light in one direction. So hopefully this will encourage more new growth up top this way. So just to cap off my rant or review of this Korean drama Cheese in the Trap, if you haven't watched it, I think it is worth the watch. Just know that the ending is going to be garbage, but if you enjoy the performance of the cast members, then definitely this is one to watch. But overall, I do think it is quite well executed. The casting was great, the acting was great, the production quality was good as well. It's just maybe the writing is a little bit of a letdown, and the way that things were edited together might have been, you know, could be improved as well. If you guys have already seen it, do let me know in the comments down below what you think, because I'm just dying to like talk to someone else who's been through this as well. So yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As I said, this is a little bit of a different sort of video. I don't generally talk about non-plant related things, but you know, Korean drama stretches far and wide, and a lot of different people enjoy it as well. So I thought I'd do something different and talk about other interests as well while I'm doing my repotting especially. So let me know if you guys enjoyed this type of video. If you did, then I will consider doing more of it in the future. Otherwise, I'll just stick to planty content. So that's it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed repotting with me. If you did, please give this video a like. Leave me a comment down below to let me know what you think, and subscribe if you want to see more content from me. I post videos every week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye! Ah! Let me get, oh my goodness.